Hello and welcome to Marketing Global Edition with me, Jasmine Montgomery.
And me, Piers 𝐻𝐻𝐽𝐻. So, Jasmine, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, Piers, I was in Zara the other day and came across something truly shocking.
I'm surprised anything can make you shocked.
I have delicate sensibilities that are easily shocked. No, what actually shocked me was a collaboration between Zara and Disney.
What was Mickey Mouse doing, Jasmine?
He was invading a retail brand which is known for restrained style. And not just on the occasional printed t-shirt, and not just in the Zara Kids bit. This was a whole collection designed for people, men and women. It was very gender neutral, but it was designed for people who want to dress like the cartoon character. Hats with giant ears, giant fluffy shoes, red and white polka dot jumpers, so that you, like Minnie or Mickey Mouse, can dress like a toadstool. It was ghastly.
I love it when you use the word ghastly. Anyway, look, what we really need to establish here is, are you a fan of Mickey Mouse, Jasmine?
No, I think he is a patronising little rodent, and so is his stupid girlfriend Minnie, and I certainly do not consider either of them a style icon.
Well, look, I've looked at the collection with Hannah, our creative director, and we love it. Just yeah.
Shocking.
There's tights with Mickey Mouse on them, which Hannah lost her mind over. Mm-hmm. And there's some really interesting stuff. There's men's thing like Mickey Mouse ties and hats. And there's a really cool bag, actually, that's designed with a blow-up and cropped-in Mickey icon. It's really quite fun, actually. So do you know the whole collection is called Oh, Gee Wow? Which totally sums up the fun, you see. Look, right, we're laughing, right?
Do that again, Piers. Do it again. What's it called, the collection?
Or Gee Wow?
Gee wow. American accent. Mickey is not Scottish.
Oh, gee wow. There you go.
There you go. There you go. That's the voice. Look,
sorry, everyone.
It just sums up the infantilizing dumbing down on the part of Zara with regard to their customers. Honestly, it's just so ghastly. Like, I shop Zara for its sort of European elegance, its kind of classic clean lines look, like not to look like I just escaped from the funhouse. Honestly, what was Zara thinking? Are they so desperate for news that they will collaborate with just any old brand? It's the sort of thing I'd expect from H&M, sure, but not Zara.
Okay, so that does bring us to today's rant from Jasmine and what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about collabs, which I'm sure you know is short for collaborations.
Oh, finally, you can bring yourself to use the youth lingo. Dear listeners, Piers can't say merch when it comes to talking about merchandising, so I'm quite happy to hear that he can say the word collab.
Unlike you, Jasmine, I am willing to act my age.
Which, by the way, everybody, is several years older than me. So I can still use the vernacular of the cool kids. Okay, so on with the introduction. Carry on, tell us all about it.
I'm not sure all the cool kids are using the word vernacular. But, anyway, look, so from Balenciaga's stiletto Crocs, oh, they're hilarious, to Barbie's Malibu dream house on Airbnb, we are living in what is the golden or possibly deranged age of brand collaborations, or collabs.
Yes, they're everywhere. It seems like every brand has to have a partner these days. You know, a sneaker, a pop-up, a capsule, an experience. It's like Tinder for trademarks.
And sometimes the chemistry is like really electric, it's fantastic, and sometimes it is an absolute disaster.
Which brings us to today's question: can collabs go too far?
Yeah, and specifically, we'll talk about Mickey Mouse. So it's Zara and Disney, and the collaboration that's either brilliant or bonkers, depending on your point of view.
So which side I'm on, Piers?
You're on the wrong one.
No. Go on then, prove me wrong. Okay, tell us all about the Zara Disney collab and why it's a good idea.
Let's start with the scene of the crime to give you some hope that you might be right. Yeah, September 2025. Zara, global fast fashion powerhouse, announces a collaboration with Disney, right? Interestingly though, but also with stylist Harry Lambert, who, if you don't know, he's better known as the man who makes Harry Styles look like a gender-fluid rock god.
Which I know is something you aspire to, Piers, looking like a gender-fluid rock god. As Piers said, the collection is called Gee Wow! And is named after an old Mickey Mouse exclamation from the 1930s. God help us.
And it's not a tiny time capsule at all, it's like an absolute monster. There are like 200 pieces, menswear, womenswear, kidswear, accessories. They've even got furniture props for the window displays. Yeah. Zara hasn't done a collaboration on this scale before, I don't think. And interestingly, we found out the creative idea behind it, which is reimagine Mickey and Friends through the lens of couture theatre. which basically means take everything you ever loved about Disney and stitch it into Zara's minimalist world.
Yeah, so the look, for better or for worse, is high fashion whimsy, right? So it's puffball skirts, it's huge exaggerated bows, structured tailoring, kind of hidden Mickey-shaped collars, cartoon coloured tulle. And the campaign is staged like a 1950s game show. So they launched it with kind of flashing lights, performers in character, everything drenched in sherbet pink and butter yellow. I will give them this, it's spectacular the way they've launched it. But it's also a huge leap for Zara. Their whole identity has been clean, architectural, urban, sophisticated, stylish, And suddenly they've gone full cartoon nonsense.
But that's the point, really, that whole sort of fairy tale, if you like. Zara have realised that fast fashion can't just be fast anymore. It has to be cultural. And they're trying to move from the trend follower positioning they had to trend maker.
At what cost? I mean, this is a brand built on accessibility and understatement. It's a safe elegance. And now it's cosplaying as couture. I think you can't sell fantasy at scale without risking credibility.
And I'd argue you can if you do it smartly. If you think of it as a modern fairy tale, Disney brings nostalgia, Zara brings reach, right? So both parties win.
Or both dilute, especially Zara, because Disney doesn't exactly scream ethical production, and Zara's sustainability record is a little bit patchy. But mostly it's just a style clash for me.
Okay, that could be a fair point, right? But the collaboration is quite smartly timed. Right now, in fashion, is the play core era. So there's like balloon shoes at Louis. Never know how to pronounce that brand.
No, I don't either.
Teddy bear bags at Moschino, and everyone's dressing up like a toy box exploded.
Well, perhaps that's why I find it so desperate. When everything becomes a collab, who are you without one?
Exactly. Let's find out, shall we?
Yeah, let's look at what happens when collaborations collapse under their own weight. And my personal favourite disaster story is Balenciaga collab with Crocs.
These are the platform Crocs, right?
Yes, these are the plastic, just sort of chunky, cheesy sandals that, young people are wearing. Although, hilariously, our creative director, Hannah, just came back from Bhutan, and she said that the monks, who all, of course, have to wear monastic garb, do set themselves apart and express a bit of their personality by wearing Crocs with those little charms on them to express themselves. But anyway, in 2018, Balenciaga, the temple of avant-garde fashion and kind of, great provocateur, really, took Crocs, the world's most comfortable shoe, and turned them into a £700 foam monster, which was described by British Vogue as not just any Crocs, but a cartoonish 10-centimetre platform version of the famously ugly shoe, encrusted with Balenciaga gibbets and what looked like the kind of plastic fridge magnets sold in airports. People described it as a monstrosity, as hideous. It was a harsh lampoon. It was, people said, what a crock, why has Balenciaga ruined the world's most practical shoes? And then from that, they went on to do Crocs as stilettos. So this is the plastic sandal with an incredibly high heel. I mean, look them up if you haven't seen them. They are revolting.
I know, but interestingly, they did sell out.
Yeah, for a week. But they also were hated. They were pilloried in the fashion world. They became a symbol of the industry's self-parody. It was kind of luxury mocking comfort, irony devouring sincerity. It's fashion eating itself alive.
Yeah, it didn't feel right, did it, to be honest? Okay, another one that went wrong was Kanye West and Adidas. So for years, the Yeezy line was a masterclass in celebrity power. Everyone wanted the Yeezys, right? They turned into like collectibles, and they were expensive. People were paying more for them and all that sort of stuff. But then Kanye made some really inflammatory anti-Semitic remarks on social media, and Adidas hesitated too long before reacting, really. They ended up having over $1 billion in unsold inventory. The things you could see Yeezys in outlet malls and things like that suddenly.
Really?
Like really like high-end to people just trying to get rid of them.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful. Adidas learned that creative genius is no insurance against moral chaos.
Yeah, I think it's a huge risk, that a brand takes when it gets into bed with another brand that may have totally different values. You never won't know what you'll catch.
Moving swiftly on, let's turn to the Triumph. rips. There's some
You
really
mean the ones that actually made sense?
Yeah. Okay, look, one of the biggest, most famous, brilliant ones is Supreme and Louis Vuitton.
The holy grail of collabs.
And this is a really interesting story, actually, because everyone knows sort of about the collab, but they don't know about the origins, which is really interesting. So if you don't know, let's go back to the year 2000, right? Very long time ago. Supreme, up-and-coming New York skate brand, still not that well known back then, making T-shirts, and skateboard decks covered in knockoff LV monograms, right? So they just borrowed the brand, ripped it off, and Louis Vuitton sent them a cease and desist. So, Supreme, this relatively unknown but cool up-and-coming brand, withdraws the products, but the legend is born at this point. The rebellious skater brand who dared to mimic luxury. Anyway, so then that's how it all started. It was an argument. They went to court against each other, more or less.
Fascinating.
Fast forward 17 years, and finally the two collaborate officially. So in Paris Men's Week 2017, Paris Men's Fashion Week 2017, the catwalk was covered with, Supreme Louis Vuitton gear. So there were box logo hoodies from Supreme in Louis Vuitton leather. There were monogram trunks, the famous Louis Vuitton monogram trunks that also had Supreme mocked into them, and skateboards crafted by Louis Vuitton artisans. I mean, it was
Apparently it was pandemonium. People queued overnight for the pop-ups, and resale prices were like 5 or 10 times retail.
Do you know what makes me laugh about that?
Yeah.
I mean, they were already Louis Vuitton prices.
Yeah.
I think I can't remember, but say that the trunk was probably like 10 grand or something, and then all of a sudden it's going for like 50 grand. It's absolutely nuts, really.
Yeah,
it was more than hype. They rewrote the rule book. Okay, so for decades, luxury was really about exclusion, and streetwear was about inclusion. And then Supreme, Louis Vuitton come along, fuse them, and suddenly you got luxury streetwear. It becomes a new category. And it really changed how fashion thought about youth, access and scarcity.
I think that's really fascinating. I think when two totally sort of opposing things can find a way to kind of challenge each other, that's where it really works so well, because in that brilliant example, they didn't just sell products, did they? They sort of sold a new language of status.
Yeah, the story was perfection, right? They had enemies turn to allies.
Yeah.
A feud resolved on the runway.
Yes, absolutely brilliant. Love that example. There's another one that is just, honestly, I don't know whether we should talk about it as a success or a failure, except that I know it was actually a success kind of commercially and everything else, but it should not be. I mean, it's just, okay, Crocs with Kentucky Fried Chicken. Crocs KFC collab. When I first heard about it, I thought it was a prank.
I know it's nuts, isn't it? But it was real. It was 2020, and they released two versions, right? There was the wearable classic clog, and a platform bucket edition shown at the New York Fashion Week. And both are printed with like fried chicken texture. They had the red and white stripes from the KFC brand, and this is the interesting. They topped them with chicken scented gibbets charms.
I mean, that is just so shocking. So your shoes could smell like fried chicken.
Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous, but that's why it worked, right? Both brands share like a mischievous DNA, really, don't they? Crocs are proud of being ugly, which they are, and KFC is proud of being, they do all sorts of stuff, KFC brand, but proud of being indulgent. And they made people laugh, Jasmine. That's why it was so good. It was fun. It sold out in 30 minutes. And has become a really rare collector's item.
I mean, this shouldn't be a success story, because if you look at the shoes, they are so revolting. They look like plastic fried chicken in a bucket on your shoes. I mean, it is just so bonkers that it shouldn't work, but in a way it did. And I think the contrast with Balenciaga was that the kind of KFC version kept the Crocs essence, sort of comfort and playfulness, whereas the Balenciaga version kind of denied it, and that's why one became a meme with affection and the other kind of became a meme with contempt.
I know. What Balenciaga did, they took a functional democratic product and tried to make it ironic. KFC took the same shoe and made it a joy. Made it fun.
And I think price matters. I mean, the Balenciaga versions cost hundreds of pounds and the KFCs were $60, and I think you can forgive a bit of silliness when it's affordable. Also, intent. So KFC, theirs was self-aware, right? We know this is daft, is what they're saying. Whereas Balenciaga's felt wrong. It felt sneering. It's like, look how stupid you'll look and how much you'll have to pay. Yeah, I think it's the difference between I know, it's cringe. It's absolutely cringe. I mean, it feels like Emperor's New Clothes. Like, what kind of a fool are you? I think it's the difference between laughing with your audience and laughing at them, which is
Yeah, it's a
crucial.
ratness. That's
It's
another reference to something else that we
different
talked about.
story, Ratners. Yes, we've talked about on previous podcasts. Exactly. Never laugh, never take the mickey out of, never disrespect your audience, is what Piers
Ever,
is saying.
ever. And
Yeah.
that's a lesson for Zara, isn't it, I suppose? The moment that their Disney line feels cynical, like they're selling ironry instead of imagination, it collapses, or it would collapse.
See, I think you've nailed why it kind of makes me angry. The Zara Disney one. I love Zara, but I feel talked down to when I see them collaborate with Disney. Like, I can't believe they seriously think I'd wear fluffy high heel shoes like Minnie Mouse.
Christmas is coming, Jasmine. Christmas is coming.
Oh Lord.
Anyway, listen, how did you feel about Airbnb and Barbie? Did that feel like infantilizing?
No, not at all. I loved that one, interestingly. Yeah, a very different one, and I loved that one.
So, I don't know, I don't know if people know this, but Barbie's Malibu Dream House it was turned into a real Airbnb listing. It was just before the film released. It was even hosted by Ken.
Which is so funny.
And they were offering 2 nights free of charge, and there were thousands of applicants, and it got global press. It was a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, apparently Airbnb reported more media coverage from that single stunt than from its IPO, which is so funny.
It's nuts. It's like the ultimate experiential marketing, right? People can actually live inside the story.
Yeah, and it worked because it felt generous. You weren't buying something, you were participating in something.
And also you had the charity donation to save the children. Suddenly it wasn't frivolous. It had purpose. It was great.
Yeah, it was kind of the perfect cocktail. It was kind of nostalgia, scarcity, social purpose in this wonderful, lovely blend.
Should we talk about another collaboration that's really, really topical at the moment?
Yeah.
And of which I have personally purchased some gear. There you go. So it's Arsenal, the football team, and a cold wall.
Yeah, so I'd never heard of this until Piers told me about it. So this is Samuel Ross's label. It's sort of industrial, architectural, minimalist. It's not your usual kind of football club merch partner.
No, but it's so cool. It is very cool. Not just because it's Arsenal, but it's very, very, very cool. They've created a 27-piece lifestyle range. It's cool. It's not bling. It's like really muted greys. It's industrial fabrics. It's a little bit like worn in, that sort of stuff. And it's got a really beautiful, subtle nods to Arsenal's North London heritage. And the campaign features the players, both women and men, but they shot it like high fashion editorial. It really works.
And I think it works because it didn't shout. It sort of translated football identity into street culture in a kind of very subtle way. It plays on all the sort of cool cues and stuff.
Yeah, it's how clubs are becoming cultural brands, really, not just sports teams. Arsenal wasn't selling jerseys; they're selling belonging.
And unlike the Zara Disney spectacle, this one felt quite intimate. It's sort of a designer translating the grit of North London terraces into wearable art in a lovely way.
Yeah, different tone, same strategy. Extend meaning by inviting a credible outsider in.
But Piers, aren't we reaching collaboration fatigue? I mean, when everything's X something else, like nothing feels special anymore.
Possibly, but we are also in the attention economy. So Collabs. Oh, I'm sorry, everyone. Collabs are how brands hack culture, right? That's how they do it. They're borrowing each other's audiences to stay visible.
Yeah, we've turned kind of collaboration into content. It used to mean sort of proper design partnership. Now I think often it's just PR.
And that's true, but that's partly why some of the best ones stand out. Supreme and Louis Vuitton, Barbie and Airbnb. They didn't just co-brand, they created meaning, something big and new to talk.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are some other really fun ones we haven't mentioned yet, like, Heinz and Lick Paints. I love this one, where Lick Paints released a paint in the exact colour of Heinz tomato ketchup, which is so funny.
Yeah, isn't that in the living room of one of our great designers, John?
Yeah, John actually bought it and has painted. I'm dying to see his Heinz tomato ketchup room.
Another thing that was great was Heinz did one with Weetabix, which was really fun and just went seriously viral.
I mean, the paint one is delicious. The frankly, baked beans breakfast cereal combo, I think less so. But I think colour is actually a great space for collabs. So I know Pantone have done some really clever ones with brands like Motorola and Lenovo. I think that's really, really clever. I'm not sure they've had as much PR as the Croc ones.
Yeah, but that's okay, I think. Not every collab needs to be like seismic. Some just need to keep the brand alive in your feed, just fresh.
Yeah, until the audience just stops caring from collaboration fatigue, law of diminishing returns applies to all these collabs, I think.
Yeah. Okay, well, look, let's come back to our original sort of thing, which was talking about Zara and Disney. So is it a marketing masterpiece or a misguided mashup?
I still think it's a bridge too far. I think, Zara has flirted with artistry before, but this feels like costume, When every store looks like Disneyland, what happens to the quiet Spanish chic that made the brand aspirational?
Okay, well, I see it differently. It's not about abandoning identity, it's about evolving it. I think Zara has reached saturation. Everything needs to grow, or it should grow. And to grow, you need culture, not just clothes. And partnering with Disney gives it emotional capital.
Provided it doesn't become a gimmick.
True, but so far the reviews are strong. Vogue called it a joyous mashup of couture and cartoon. The gender-neutral tailoring sold out within days.
Well, I know how you like a bit of gender-neutral tailoring, Piers. Okay, for now, but if they keep chasing virality instead of vision, I think they'll become the Balenciaga of the high street. All shock, no soul, if they're not careful.
Then maybe that's our answer. The line between genius and gimmick is execution. Are there any collabs out there you can imagine that would just never work?
Well, I mean, in some ways, I feel like if Balenciaga can do a collab with DHL and make DHL fashion, which they did, it's ridiculous, then I don't know if anything's off the table, Maybe we'd have to go as far as, I don't know, something like Durex and the Catholic Church, or like Trump Towers and UNICEF collab.
How about Smirnoff vodka and Marmite? That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Or, I don't know, Rolls-Royce Phantom at IKEA, the flat pack Phantom.
Build it yourself with an Allen key. I think it would be interesting to see Pantone and the White Company. Those feel like they would be an interesting... Or what about, I don't know, I was thinking about Tesla and Crocs. Elon Musk launches a self-driving shoe.
Overheats after 4 hours, explodes in sports mode, and still doesn't have reliable charging port.
I mean, one that might be a bit of a UK example, but I was thinking about Hermes and Greggs. The sausage roll of luxury, an £800 limited edition pastry bag with buttery patina and a faint whiff of pork.
Only lasts through the winter and then goes off, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so who would you like to see Zara collaborate with?
Okay, so in all seriousness, I could imagine Zara and the Royal Ballet. So beautiful capsule collections inspired by costumes, tulle reimagined as tailoring, velvet suiting, structured pleats. I think that could be really beautiful. Or I mean, even something like, Zara with, say, like the estate of Frida Kahlo, the artist, kind of feminine resilience and artistry reimagined through all her incredible, prints and beautiful visuals. I don't know. I think something like that would be super lovely and kind of, honor the Zara client, not drag them down and infantilize them.
Yeah. What about something different? What about something like Zara and Studio Ghibli makes of Japanese anime? That could be quite interesting.
Yeah, I mean, my son would love that, but it's still too kiddie for me. I want to see Zara retain some of its sophistication. Zara and Aesop, like the beautiful sort of perfumery kind of hand soap manufacturer, kind of something cross-disciplinary, scent packaging, store design, adding emotion through experience rather than kind of gimmicks. Quite subtle, quite intelligent, quite design-driven. I'd quite like that.
Okay, well look, we're coming near the end. Let's think about collabs. What's the recipe for success? What makes a great collaboration? Let's do our closing recipe, Jasmine.
Okay, well, I think ingredient one for me is kind of authentic overlap. The brands must share a value system, not just an audience.
Okay. Ingredient two, mutual benefit. Each side must get something they can't buy. Reach, relevance, or reinvention.
Yes. I think for me also it's about design integrity. They need to look and feel... The collab itself needs to feel really genuinely like inspired design, not kind of just badging or sticking things on a t-shirt.
Yeah. I think for me, ingredient four is self-awareness. If you're being ironic, you've got to do it with love. That's a tightrope.
Yeah, don't take the mickey out of people. I think another really key ingredient for great collabs, I think, has got to be timing. Culture moves really fast. So you have to get the moment right or you become a meme.
You're so wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, the other one for me, of course, is joy. Yeah, so ingredient 6 would be joy. I mean, it's these things have got to make you smile.
Yeah, and I think lastly, ingredient 7 for me is restraint. You know when to stop. Not every brand needs to play dress up.
Well, not even Zara.
Especially Zara. Yeah.
I'll see your cynicism and raise you a puffball skirt.
You'd look marvellous, darling. Marvellous in a red and white polka dot puffball skirt. All right, that's it from us. See you next week when I will try to get Piers to appear in some Mickey Mouse Zara fashion, if I possibly can.
If I pass by Zara, I'll pop in and I'll buy some.
All right, everyone. Bye for now.
Or as Mickey would say, that's all, folks. Ooh!
You had to get that in.
All right.
Marketing Global Edition is sponsored by Adsy, the ad generator for small businesses that serves you effective and affordable ads in seconds. And by 7 Brands, the international advertising and branding agency that has worked with clients around the world from Coca-Cola to Facebook.